So welcome to the Inspire Book Club. And we say that we are friends who have come together to learn from each other, to sharpen each other. Yeah, learn, sharpen each other, and also spur each other on towards the best version of ourselves. And I was just sharing here with a friend that I'm reading this book, for example, and our current read, that is Built to Last by James Collins, I think popularly known as Jim Collins, and Jerry Porras. And desiring that everybody would just read this because it is so full of value and full of nuggets. And well, to a bit of our ground rules is we do one book at a time as a group. And we have a WhatsApp group. I think many of us are now part of the WhatsApp group. We meet weekly, have our meetings, and that is as a result of our learnings from Atomic Habits by James Clear, that encourages small, consistent steps. That way you have weekly half-hour meetings. So it's consistent, but it is small. It's bit-sized. We encourage buying and reading the book. They are to support the authors and their estates. And also, we uphold respect for all, create a safe space for confidentiality, and we say that this is non-political and not for self-promotion. For self-promotion, we were able to hive off a different group strictly for business. So on to today's reading. We're still on the introduction. I think part of it was just that to give people time to be able to get the book and to catch up on the reading, but also because it's a little dense. I find it a little dense. So we're on the introduction, and then next week now we can start on chapter 1. So welcome all. Welcome Naomi, Washuka, Natasha Nje, Kimani Njoroge. Good to see all of you. So the pair of Jim and Jerry, we are attributing their success. That's the success of this book to 4 things. One, they said, people feel inspired by the notion of building an enduring great company. And I think we can all identify with that. We would want to build a great company, but one also that is not just great for a small time, but that endures. Last week, we were looking at the fact that, or what they say in the Built to Last, that you can be lucky for 5 years or 10 years, but you cannot stretch luck for 50 years or for 100 years. So if you see a company that has lasted 50, 100 years, then there's something, there's something that they are doing right that we can learn from. So the second factor is thoughtful people crave time-tested fundamentals, not fad of the year. No fad of the year, like the latest fuzz or what is in fashion at the time. And the third factor is the fact that these concepts, and if you will, they are life change or life timeless principles. They bring about productive change without destroying the company's bedrock foundation. And they talk a lot about that, the fact that there is a foundation that is constant, but then the application, like there's a timeless core, there's a purpose, there's a value at the center, but then how that is applied varies from culture to culture, from epoch to epoch, that's from a different time to another, and so on. And the confirmation of correct approach to business. So let's look at those the four factors of success that they attribute to the success of the book. One is on an enduring great company. So the company is great, but also enduring. Now, the first thing there is that you want to aspire to build something bigger and more lasting than yourself. That you want to build something which can outlive you, and you want to have a vision that is bigger than yourself. And that is an ongoing institution rooted in a set of timeless core values, one that exists for a purpose beyond just making money, and one that stands the test of time because it continually renews itself from within. And that's important because times keep on changing. In fact, we are saying that now the speed of change is faster. It's like even in technology, for example, the trend is that you're saying that the technology is increasing at an increasing rate. In other words, if a certain, they call them leaps, technology leaps, for example, if a certain leap took 10 years, then you find the next one takes 5, then the next one takes a year, and so on. So you want something that is anchored, all right? You have a timeless core, and that core consists of enduring principles, of timeless values. Then that core that is like an anchor. Around it, you have now the practices which can vary, and that timeless core is a purpose that is beyond just making money. So they say that that is what stands the test of time. So the takeaway there is that many of these companies, and they quote many of them, like IBM, Hewlett Packard, General Electric, they say that they did not start as corporate giants. They began as entrepreneurs and small business people, and from there they built small, cash-strapped enterprises into renowned multinationals or to renowned global enterprises. In fact, the words they use is some of the very best global companies. So that to me was quite encouraging as a founder of an SME. Of course, I think the definition of SME varies. We were doing a certain project, certain project, and we realized that, for example, even within banks, local banks here in Kenya, the definition of SME may vary. But definitely, the point is that, and that's a point that they make, that when you're talking of a visionary company, that they start now calling the enduring great company, they start calling it a visionary company. That when you're thinking of a visionary company, it does not necessarily mean that it's not necessarily about the size. It is so much about that timeless core. It's so much about the values, the purpose that you espouse. So the second one is time-tested fundamentals. And as the world continues to change at an accelerated pace, you want to hold to the fundamental concepts that stand the test of time. We were discussing earlier this week with some friends of mine the fact that things that are seen come from things that are not seen. So what are the things that are seen? Things that are seen are for example, companies. When you build a company and somebody can, for example, walk into the office and they can see their staff members seated and there is furniture. Probably you grew to a place where you even own the building. Those are things that are seen, but they come from things that are not seen. Things such as vision, things such as perseverance, things such as faith. So these are fundamental concepts, and those are the ones that stand the test of time. And Jim and Jerry say that as the world continues to change, and now it's changing at an accelerated pace. I mean, think about think about things like AI, for example. All right, and that's a good example. When I think they were saying, for example, how long it took. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head. I'd not thought I will use that example. But they were saying, for example, how long it took Facebook to get to 1 million users, Gmail, and so on. And I mean, they took months, others took years to get to 1 million users. ChatGPT took less than a month. You see, that's what we mean, that the world is changing at an accelerated pace. But in that world that is changing at an accelerated pace, then a visionary company, an enduring great company, is one that holds to or remains true to fundamental concepts. They are timeless. And, you know, it's like they have been there for centuries. In the 7 habits, he calls them, he says that they are what? They are principles. That is, Stephen Covey talks about them as principles and says that they are laws, all right? They are laws in the universe, just like you have what? You have natural laws, you know, like the law of gravity. So are these concepts or these principles, if you will, that they are the ones that stand the test of time. And Jim and Jerry are saying that in a world that is continually changing and doing so at an accelerated pace, then we need them now more than ever. And you can think about it because you see there has been what ethics, you know, what are the ethics around the development of new technologies of AI, okay, let's say of cloning, for example, and of robotics, you know, what are the ethics around that? So we need these timeless concepts or timeless principles now more than ever. The takeaway there is that the biggest problems facing organizations today stem not from, well, they use this word, vocabulary, but it means lack. That they do not come from the lack of new management ideas, but primarily from failure to understand and apply the basic fundamentals. That the biggest problems facing organizations today come not from the lack of new management ideas. In fact, the book says we have very many of those, but they come primarily from failure to understand and apply the basic fundamentals. Allow me to move on to that point, which is productive change without breaking foundations. And in the book, they use that image. I want to believe we all, or many of us, know. It's called yin yang. That is the intersection of light and dark. But then I've just used a table here and slightly different words. But the point is that there are things that are foundational. Those are the timeless core values and enduring purpose, and things that are adaptable. So you can adapt your operating practices, your business strategies to, say, to a different time or to a different culture or to a different geographical location, to a changing regulatory regime, for example. So you can adapt, but then it should be that your core values and your purpose are timeless. And I think, anyway, I think I'll read that towards the end. So he says, in a changing world, you shouldn't first ask, how do we change? In a changing world, what you should say is, what do we stand for? And why do we exist? That's the first question. So what do we stand for? As this world changes, then we remain anchored on what we stand for. That's our values and our purpose. That's our why. And that the secret to an enduring great company is the ability to manage continuity and change. And if you think about it, continuity is, it's the evolving practices and strategies, but that's change. But continuity is remaining true to values and to purpose. So the secret is manage. How do you manage continuity? That is that which does not change, and as well as managing change. Finally, confirmation of business approach. So visionary companies come in many packages: large, small, private, public, and standalone subsidiaries. And he said that business press tends to focus on Icarus companies. So Icarus is a mythical character who flew too close to the sun and of course got himself burnt. So yeah, he was saying that those are the companies that press tends to focus on, either those that make it big, that make it really big, or those that do collapse. But then by so doing, you tend to ignore all these others that are paying attention to fundamentals, that are shining the limelight, that are creating jobs, that are generating wealth and contributing to society. So the last thing they say is that these things are not unique to any one culture, that business leaders around the world, they understand the importance of the timeless core values, and they exhibit the same relentless drive for progress. Thank you. I think I would like to stop there and be able to welcome feedback from the room. Karibuni sana. Yeah, thoughts? Anyone?
Hello, you can hear
Hi,
me now?
Washika. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I haven't read this book like the last week or so. Probably read it a while back. However, my takeaway from today's session, and thank you for the good summary, is the fact that while 5 to 10 years of success can be luck, to get to 50, 100, there must be something in your system that you're doing right. I think that's it sort of summarizes what the book is about, building to last, or what to expect. So thanks for that. Looking forward to reading from next week, and good night, everybody.
Thank you, Ashuka. Yes, that's 5 to 10 years you can be lucky, but not 100 years. And allow me to read this. This is a section of the book where they are quoting from. They say they are quoting from the CEO of a privately held multi-billion dollar visionary company. Well, anyway, that has lasted for more than 100 years. So this guy says it may take us longer to get established in a new culture, especially as we have difficulty finding people who fit with our value system. All right. So, and he laments that some of the cultures they find themselves in are prone to corruption. Then he says, so we may move more slowly and grow only as fast as we can find people who will uphold our standards. And we are willing to forego business opportunities that would force us to abandon our principles. We are still here after 100 years, doubling in size every 6 or 7 years, when most of our competitors from 50 years ago don't even exist anymore. Why? Because of the discipline to not compromise our standards for the sake of expediency. In everything we do, we take the long view. That is, we think about the long term always. So, I mean, you read that and it is, well, to me, it is quite profound that they are saying they are willing to go slowly when they can't find the people that share their values. They are not in a hurry, but in over 100 years, they've been in doubling in size every 6 or 7 years. because they chose to have the discipline to not compromise the standards for the sake of expediency. Yeah, that's what it takes to build a great enduring or an enduring great company. Yeah. Thank you, Ashuka. Anyone else?
Everyone, let me step in. I'm new. My name is Natasha.